All right, good evening, everybody. Joint meeting of the Planning and Development Subcommittee and Town Council Monday, April 3rd, 2023, 6 p.m. here in the Veterans Room. Agenda item number 1, roll call. Councilor Lazo absent, Councilor Dow absent.
Surprise, surprise.
Citizen Member Bernadone absent. Dee
Here.
Councilor Adams present. And we got Councilor Steves filling in. Now we have a quorum.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Thank you, Pio. All right, number 2, consider and accept planning and development meeting minutes of February 7th, 2023.
So moved.
Okay,
Second, but I'll abstain.
absolutely, okay. Any questions, Dee Dee?
No.
All right. All those in favor? Opposed?
Abstain.
201. Number 3, I didn't do them. Oh,
Okay.
Catherine is
There she
here,
is.
so we're all good.
Okay, that's good.
All right.
Hi.
Citizen Member Bernadone is here. Move Councilor Steves. All right, number 3, I did not do them. I know, shame. So, move along. Agenda item number 4, discuss review amendments to section 5, 9.1, and 10 of the Southbridge zoning bylaw for readings and adoption. Entertain a motion to recommend that council adopt the proposed amendments to the Southbridge zoning bylaw.
So moved.
Okay?
I'll second.
Eric, you want to discuss this at all?
Sure not.
Okay.
So we went through the public hearing process,
That's good.
and then, I made the changes from the, based upon the comments and suggestions that were done at the public hearing, to present what is essentially the final document. I believe the document you guys probably have in front of you. I miscopied one section that needed to be added. I have a clean copy that has all that taken care of. The state did do another review, and there's a couple of Scrivener's errors, some things that were, one place it says floodway, and it should say floodplain. And there's outdated map types that need to be just removed. And then a clarification, because there's one section that does say, this is all on 9.1. There's a section that does say something along the lines of use shall correspond with the underlying district, and the state, when they did their review, had a little bit of confusion on that. So I just went ahead and zoning district, just to make things clear again. I think it's a Scrivener's error, but it's kind of fitting.
Will all be cleaned up by the time by Monday, everything?
It'll be cleaned up tomorrow.
Okay, all right. We already had the public hearing, just so you know, with the planning board and the council. Went through quite a few recommendations at that point in time. Yes, Ms. Dean?
Would it be helpful to just share some of the context of, I don't know how much of this was prompted by Joy DuPerrault from the state level, who came to the town and said,
No.
it wouldn't be helpful? Oh, okay.
Confusing.
It's so the state and FEMA did mandate that we add things and make changes to our flood protection bylaw. So that's why we made these changes.
So are there any changes beyond what we
And
saw?
then, yes, there are at the public hearing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, other than very, very minor things that were discussed at the public hearing,
Okay.
some spacing and adding a title, just because there's a differentiation between building variances and zoning variances that are in there. The floodway. It was something that the state had said, put this in, and then when they did their final review, so-called final review, after our public hearing, they said, oh, this should really have space.
Okay.
And it should have its own title.
That's fine.
And I came back and said, why didn't you tell me this before the hearing? But, it is what it is.
Okay.
And then the changes to section 5, the planning board's been working on that for a dog's age. And the same thing with section 10, there's some new, it's the definition section is section 10. There's some new definitions that they wanted to do to clarify some use types, and as well as other areas of the bylaw that really just needed some better definitions of what we have.
Go ahead, please.
I know that you guys are looking at several other sections in your meeting this week. Do you plan on doing any more changes to the definition section because of those other discussions?
No,
No. Because I was thinking.
I don't believe so. No, at this time, I don't believe so.
Okay, because I was thinking if you've got other sections that are still open, wouldn't it make sense to leave the definitions until later?
Ordinarily, I'd agree with you, but we have flood definitions in there that have to be done by June 21st. They have to become official bylaws by June 21st. So it was kind of so let's do as much as we can now, and if we have to do another change later on, we'll do another change later on.
Sorry, again.
We tried to catch everything though.
Okay.
Any other questions? Now, this will go to the town council for the readings as well, and any changes that may be amended, so. Nothing else? All those in favor? Opposed? 4-0. 5, discuss review. Thanks, Eric. Discuss review a change order with E&E Systems for $2,574 to run and string Cat5 cable where Jam installed conduit to go forward with the security camera install using CDBG fiscal year 21 funds. Entertain a motion to town council to recommend approval.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Dean?
Yes, if you'll recall, I brought to you a change order for Jam to be able to run the conduit from the concession, well, you know, in certain locations in Capillo Park and Canfields for us to be able to go forward with the security. The question was, do we let Jam do it? Do we let E&E do it? Or do we sub it out to someone else completely different? The E&E Systems change order was going to be much higher than Jam's was supposedly, and so we went with Jam. However, Jam's, you know, however much it was, change order only covered the conduit. We still need to actually string the cable. So to be able to finish the job, we still need E&E Systems to do just a little bit more to be able to go forward with cameras. And this is funded with the block grant.
Questions?
I guess I just have.
Yes, Dee Dee?
What is, on the change order, it says 330 Main Street. Why is that, Southbridge, Mass? Under proposal for town of Southbridge, PEG team, 330 Main Street, Southbridge, Mass. Is that, am I in the wrong?
No, it's probably a typo, but good catch, and I'll
That's
make sure
weird.
that we correct it before we lock in.
Huh. These are in Henry Street, right?
Yeah, it's Henry Street.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
Is
it
it
says
even
that.
Henry?
So it's, yeah, it's,
It's not even in that part of
it's,
town, yeah.
we use either 0 Worcester Street now for Capello Park or 49 Henry Street. So it'll be one
Okay.
of those two, yeah. And that would typically be 41 Elm Street, where our address is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they put the 330. Town of Southbridge 330. Okay, so I will make sure that's corrected, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dee Dee, for catching that. Any other questions on that?
Oh, yeah, for the site, okay. So no, you're correct, I'm sorry. So that wouldn't normally be where the town hall location is. It says the site of the work. So yes, I will make sure that that says 49 Henry Street.
49 Henry? Okay. All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? 4-0. Item number 6, discuss review entering into an agreement with CP House LLC for $115,267 to provide a 0% commercial improvement loan to install sprinklers at 205 Main Street, helping trigger the occupancy of its restaurant using ARPA funds appropriated June 27th of 22. Agenda item number 46. Entertain a motion, town council to recommend approval and authorize town manager to sign all the paperwork.
I'll second.
Before we go on, Ms. Dean, on the previous agenda item, that was, town manager's gonna have to sign off any paperwork, right? On paperwork, okay, I'll make sure it's just added to the town council's meeting, agenda. Okay, Ms. Dean, number 6.
This is the second loan, thanks to the town's raising of $250,000 in local ARPA funds. The first one was to you all for them to put in sprinklers at 1 Central Street, and trigger the opening of what was once Fidel's. Now there'll be a new restaurant there. Now we're hoping at 205 Main Street, what was the Southbridge Credit Union will now become a storefront restaurant, slash restaurant. He's talking about potentially putting in offices. If you were to remember the credit union floor, there's the, on the right-hand side of the building, sort of the aisle of office spaces there, where he's talking about maybe having individual offices and then having a small eatery in the main floor. And so whatever we can do to encourage entrepreneurship of this town, or our town's beautiful buildings, we will do. So this one was just for sprinklers. He was hoping for more money. We're gonna start here and see where he goes. Just because we didn't have more concrete quotes for the future, the work related to the commercial kitchen. But we put in the motion that it's for the restaurant because that is what we're expecting from it. And in 1 year, we'll inspect when there's a restaurant there, and then that will trigger him to start paying the payments monthly. Lord forbid he didn't follow through. At that time, we will have liened the property and we will say that your loan is due in full if you didn't do what you were supposed
Greg
to.
Cormier is the owner of record?
He sold it to Greg Cummings, who then named it CP House for the historic reference. I don't remember the name of the historic home owner, but their initials were CP.
Discussion?
And we have $49,999 somewhere around there, and we have like almost $50,000 remaining. We just had a business walk in the door today that I had recommended we give them an application to potentially help get them up and going. So we'd like to see these funds continue to work in that concentrated downtown.
Councilor Marquetti?
I don't think she answered my question. I think this wiped us out. I thought this would wipe us completely out of it.
First one was about 85, this was 115, so
85? I
about
thought
50
it was
grand.
more than that. Okay.
865, yeah.
The Councilor, is that what you get? Mike? Okay.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Okay. Any other discussion? Mr. Senior?
These loans, do they have a time frame when they need to open, for instance?
So within 1 year of releasing the funds, they're expected to begin payments.
Not paying, I didn't ask you that. I asked you for the business to be open.
We expect that the work will be done in 1 year. We do not have a drop dead for business to begin.
Okay.
If I could
Yeah,
maybe
go ahead.
give him a little bit of reasoning. When we started this process, the first questions went to the Attorney General's office about, does this have to follow public procurement according to construction contracts? And they said, keep your hands out of it, and yes, it could no. She said, I'm not sure. It depends on what's a means test for public procurement. There are, some 10 questions that you ask. Are you in control of the work? Do you choose the contractors? Are you in control of the pay recs? Are you overseeing? Are you approving? All these things. The fewer means, right? The fewer questions you ask yes to, the less likely you are to have to worry about public procurement. At that point, we then brought it to our town attorneys. The town attorneys guided us on, we proposed, okay, what if we just cut the check, they're responsible, we lien the property, etc. Then do we have to worry about public procurement? No. So the goal is to give them as much latitude to get the work done without having to pay prevailing wages or any of the cost prohibitive terms that public procurement would trigger.
I guess just my concern is that somebody getting a loan, and okay, at least now they'll be paying it back starting a year afterwards, but the property remains in the same condition for 4 or 5 years after that loan has been given, and I realize they're paying back during that period of time, but are we making good sense with that money if there isn't a time frame when the business is expected to be open? Or, because I just look at Central Street, I mean, that's been that way for years. And we're putting in $80,000 there towards the sprinklers, and I just hate to see it go 4 years more of nothing happening.
See, the reason why Central Street wasn't moving was because of the sprinklers.
Okay.
So once the sprinklers Everything was worked on with the sprinklers and we helped him out. All of a sudden, it's like, name of the restaurant's there, he's moving in, it's happening.
Right.
Government can't slow it down with regulations. Let them do their thing. I just think, 1 year, you're working on a credit union building, I think that's a great time frame because you're not working on a simple building.
Right.
Anything they do in that building, sprinkler-wise, is a project
We'll get that money back.
because of the construction. Plus, they're paying it back anyway, so I think the leniency is needed in some of these projects to get somebody here to do something here.
Anything else? Council Lazo, anything else? Any other questions? The only question I had was 8 years. On the very first page of your memo, it talks about repayment starting 8 years from the release of funds. So it's an 8-year repayment.
So it's 7-year repayment, your first year is,
Is the debt forgiven?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you do not, we do not ask for the first payment until after a year of you getting up and off the ground. It gives you the opportunity to start to profit before we're asking for those monthly.
Is that for everybody?
Yes.
7? Okay. All right. Anything else? All those in favor? Opposed? 4-0. All right, let's see what we got. Discuss reviewing purchasing up to $10,000 using the CDBG FY20 funds and CDBG miscellaneous income account number 214000, TAC 4825000, TAC 80230 to purchase a welcome sign, a xylophone, and an ADA swing for Capillo Park McCann Fields upgrades. Entertain a motion, the town council recommend approval.
So move.
Ms. Dean?
As you know, I've been coming to you with sort of piecemeal, trying to get somebody to use the analogy of Tetris. I think the council chair, Daniel, said it was seeming like a game of Tetris, trying to use the last of our CDBG and our park grant funds to get the most out of our money for the park upgrades. And so I've come to you with a couple different motions. I came to you with a motion for $114,000 that was initially going to go to the park grant. I'm asking to now be charged to CDBG fiscal year 20, the basketball courts upgrades, and a third account, and ARPA. And when I'm putting all the procurement documents together now to substantiate our files to show we've done all our due diligence, I go back to my original quotes for the playground equipment. The playground equipment was $114,000 for just the surfacing and the larger equipment. It did not include the xylophone, the sensory panel, and the small $750 ADA swing. If we go forward, what I would love to do is just have you approve this. So I'm using so we're trying to use the last of all the funds. If you can approve this, then I can go ahead and get a separate quote from the original vendor that we were approved by, and 2 others for these now different items. Otherwise, it then if I add those items to this other vendor, we have to go with this different vendor, CompMan. So there's CompMan, there's Emmy O'Brien, and then there's Burke. And of the 3, Emmy O'Brien's definitely the best in my opinion. But if they then add on these other items, then they're more expensive than CompMan, and then we have to go, so it starts to affect things. It's easier if I keep them separate. In order to do so, I have to fund them separately. I've already come to you for the $114,000, so I'm asking if you can do this separate item. And so I'm asking for, I've got about, I think, somewhere around $25,000 minus up to $10,000 for the relocation specialist in miscellaneous funds. So that leaves me about $15,000 in miscellaneous funds. So I'm asking if I can use funds from CDBG fiscal year 20 and miscellaneous income account to be able to package this as its own little thing. I'm thinking it's going to be somewhere up around $7,500, but I'm not sure yet.
Council Lazo?
I like what you're doing, but that wouldn't be considered a split bid, would it?
It wouldn't, because we had already gone through an original bid to all 3. And when you're bid splitting, you're bid splitting to prevent you from, so say, we don't want to go out to bid we break up, so, for instance, the baseball fields and the basketball courts, looks like we're bid splitting because we did one for just less than $50,000 and Charlton Fence won it. We went out for a cost estimate for the basketball courts. Charlton Fence said we can do it for less than $50,000. We're gonna do another quote with 3 fence companies. If someone was to audit our files and says, you bid split to be able to do these 2 fences separately and not have to go out to bid. Au contraire, we actually did them like 5 months apart. We had no intention of doing the basketball courts in the first place. So actually it might be perceived as, but it's not. And so we can prove that we didn't do bid splitting, but that would be a case where they would be worried it would be bid splitting. In this case, we went out to bid, but actually went out to bid using the OST contract, those state contracts, the FAC 104, where you can just shop based on what's the state already providing for procurement. And so you save yourself the advertising, and then you get to put out quotes with these 3 vendors as long as the construction's under $50,000. So we met all those requirements. Now we have this additional small piece. As long as we get quotes from 3 vendors, then we're still within procurement. Procurement is a headache.
Slightly.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Councilor Marquette.
Weren't some of these items part of the original bid?
They were not. That's what I'm determining. So when I'm provided the cost estimate, or when I'm provided the quotes from the vendors, and I look at them side, all 3, what were the equal items in each one? The sensory panel and the xylophone were tacked on afterwards, and they were not part of the original $114,000.
I'm looking at the sealed bids for Capella Park and Canfield.
Oh, this is outside of so the sealed bid that came in for $415,000 for the JAM Corporation, that is for the ADA path, the handball court and the skate park, the lighting, and the fencing, parking, trees. That's it. And they came in way lower than we were anticipating. That's what led us to then have this extra money that I'm struggling to spend in 2 months. Oh, it's a good situation for us to be in, but it's a little bit of a headache.
Upgrades will include constructing handball court, ADA path, skate park, ADA swing, lighting, and baseball field upgrades.
So as long as we have this $750 ADA swing by June, we've met all of the park grant requirements. We pulled out in the very first change order number 1, we had a credit for the $750 swing because we were gonna go with the Cadillac swing, which we're now funding through the block grant. But because we are now doing the block grant portion after June 30, we still have to add the small individual ADA swing by June 30. Otherwise, we don't meet the park grant requirements. And that's why we have to tuck it back in before June 30.
So the ADA swing was taken out?
It was taken out in change order number 1. It was a credit of like $1,200.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Holy cow. All right. All right. Yeah.
Well, and so I would say, like, in instances like this, I do see, like, I'm just foreshadowing here. Agenda item number 9, you're going to be approving, a large number of items all in one fell swoop. And it's to prevent a situation that we're in right now, where I'm having to come to you for every penny that I spend, right? There's no opportunity just to be able for me to go ahead and make the smartest decisions possible, and that puts a 3-week lag time on everything, and so just understanding that there are certain situations where I respect the charter and the council's responsibility to fiscal responsibility, but I do see in certain situations where time is of the essence, where it can really benefit to allow a department a little bit of latitude.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? 4-0. Number 8, discuss review change order number 5 with JAM for up to $10,000 to install up to 18 trees at Capilla Park and McCann Fields furnished by the Opeka Land Trust utilizing CDBG fiscal year 20 funds. Entertain a motion to the town council to recommend approval and authorize town manager to sign all related.
So move.
I'll second.
Christine?
Yes, so this is just one more layer of this, right? So if you can imagine, Jimmy Keys is walking in the door tonight at 5 to 4 to hand me an invoice from 53 Central. He just did the canopy on Central Pizza. Yay, we're very grateful for that. So he walks in the door. I'm on the phone with Steve Brady. I've got Rachel Selch, the designer from BSC Group, on my cell phone, and I'm trying to talk to them all about the different pieces. So we've already got 18 trees in the plan, 16 trees in the plan. Steve Brady's proposing we add another 18 through the Opakam Land Trust, but that we would install them through the JAM contract. We'd have to get a change order for it. Rachel Selch is saying, I think you should do 8 trees, keep it under 10,000. We need money for shade structures. Jim Keys. Hey, Jim Keys, what do you think about us just doing some posts, and then we could do sun sails
Sun sails.
on the posts, right? How much would that cost? Oh, well, what if we did the awning just like you did at Central Pizza? So we're just thinking out loud about the best use of funds as quickly as possible. And so what we landed on was probably about 8 trees through the JAM Corporation contract. And then the other 10 trees that Steve Brady's suggesting we also plant will probably still go in just under the Opakam Land Trust contract, which is very generous of them. So he wants to see all the trees planted that are being proposed. If anyone's interested in that potential layout, I have them all here. It would be for the following trees. And you can see them. If you can't identify section by section, we can, I can let you know where they are. But I mean, that's the true beautification of a park, right? Is where you have hand-selected trees by people who are very knowledgeable about what would be the best for the environment. You know, very strategic in terms of, you know, not fruiting, not nutting in front over the handball court. And, you know, what would be nice for a little bit of screening, say, over by the Capillo Park down the hill towards the houses, you know. So as you're coming into Capillo Park, they have a bunch of very well-placed trees that will be planted, you know, going up, because it is pretty barren as you kind of look up the hill there. Not that we don't have trees lining the property, but then those trees that can offer that, you know, select bit of shade and beauty. So it'll be very beautiful. I'm excited. This change order will allow us to go ahead and enter into a change order with JAM to install a few more.
Discussion. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So we had 16 in the original bid, and now Steve Brady wants 18 more.
Steve Brady works for Opakam Land Trust now, if anybody's not aware of that. And, okay, so he has been hired, and this sort of calls back to his old roots. I think when he first started in his career, he was in forestry, or things to do with landscape and trees. So I think it's a great opportunity for him to, along the same vein of what he does with the historic, you know, the local historic district committee and what he's done for the historic, with the historical commission, etc. It's just beautification of the downtown, preserving the history and the beauty of the downtown.
Sometimes it's nice to see open space, though, you know, to allow people, kids to move around and stuff. Sometimes too many trees can.
It's like football practice, you know, you gotta dodge a couple things here and there, right? You still have plenty of room to run.
Thank you. Councilor Lazo.
No, I'm good. I was pointing at George.
Oh, George, I'm sorry.
Cowell Park and Henry Street Field. So are we going to put these nice trees in to obscure the nice security camera system that we're putting in? Are we defeating the purpose of the security with trees?
I don't think so, no.
Again, I don't like the word "I don't think so." I'd rather hear.
And she did it with a smile.
You don't want to know where the cameras are.
You can't know where the cameras are
Right,
going
I
to be, but
understand that,
I can.
and I don't want to know where the camera's going to be, but I'm hoping that planting 18 trees are not going to obscure the security of the park.
So I'm in conversation right now with I'm not in conversation, I have sent an email to the chief with the layout of the cameras, and I can be sure to give him the tree planting layout, so that he can doubly look at that and
Great.
ensure that
Great.
that's not the case.
Anything else? All those in favor? Opposed, 4-0. Number 9. Number 9, discuss, review, and enter into the following agreements or requisitions to be funded by the Urban Agenda Grant fiscal year 23 and spent by June 30th, 2023. Voted unanimously by the redevelopment 9
That's a typo.
authority members present on March 23rd, 2023. Entertain a motion to the town council to recommend approval and authorize the town manager to sign all related documents. They are $17,000 for the performers at Central Street parking lot from May to June of 2023, up to $20,000 to prep the wall at 111 Central Street in advance of painting for the mural, up to $23,000 to pay a muralist to paint a mural at 111 Central Street, muralist to carry own insurance, provide own materials and lift unless otherwise negotiated, with $1,000 to hire a consultant to assist with the securing performers and promoting events, $4,000 in community programming to complement the mural and concerts, and $3,250 in supplies.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Dean?
I'm going to thank you in advance for considering this. I recall 2 years ago when we had Olivia Knightley overseeing the Urban Agenda Grant, we approached this very similarly, where she was allowed to just go ahead and contract with the performers and get everything lined up. About now is when a lot of spring performers are already booking up.
Yeah.
And so we've got our interns saying, I don't know what to do, you know, shouldn't I, do I wait for the town council approval or don't I? And so we just decided they decided as a body, you know, if we can take this approach, then we know we're no longer held up. The quotes for the wall prep have gone out. We'll be getting responses on April 13th. We'll want to get that work done by the end of April, beginning of May. We'll want the muralist to get started in May and be done, you know, May. We don't know how quickly or shortly it will happen. And so there, for the muralist, what we came up against, again, procurement's a headache. We went to the Attorney General's office with our circumstances. We wanted to do a call for artists, but we are not allowed because you're doing, with public money, you're doing construction on a building. And so what we're required to do is get 3 quotes, because it's between 10 and 50,000, and you have to choose the lowest quote. Not the best artist, not your favorite artist, not the, you know, the lowest quote. And so what instead the strategy will be is the redevelopment authority is shopping muralists, and then they will solicit from the 3 artists that they like best out there, so that they know at least of the 3 they like their work. And so that seems like a good compromise to be able to get what they want but still be within public procurement. With regards to supplies, it'll be things like the porta potty, the materials to be able to offer programming on site. We're hoping to bring down some senior citizen groups and some student groups to be able to do things that would participate in the mural process, or at least highlight the mural process happening. And then with regards to the performers, it'll be probably similar to the last round of performers, maybe more. And they're looking at maybe Fridays and Saturdays for May and June.
Didi?
Quick question, so we're only gonna have performers during May and June, so the months of July, August, September, nothing?
The urban agenda is only good through June 30th, and we never wanted to compete with other existing summer activities. So for instance, like the concerts on the Common, and so we'd always seen it as sort of very separate from,
Okay.
yes, so it'll only be May, June.
You're all set, Didi? Any questions? You answer mine as far as, because I know there's muralists out there that do this for free. I think they've done it in Worcester as well, but obviously you just answered that question.
Yeah.
So, but another thing is, we talked about this last time about this muralist. I know there's a little controversy of getting rid of that mural that's up there that's, I don't know if it's history or it's long history. It was painted neons ago, or it was just painted 20 years ago and we call it history. Anyways, on the Anyways,
All right.
yeah. So, my question is one of those things was repointing that building. Are they still doing that? They completed with that? I think that was brought up.
So we just put out a quote for wall prep, and that wall prep includes the whatever resurfacing needs to happen, which includes pointing the foundation. We went through,
So we would repoint their own building?
So
Okay.
we went through, thanks to Katie Yoder, the new CDBG coordinator in our office. She put us in touch with a person in the Clark University urban planning program who was part of the powwow, the Worcester program. And what he told us was, first of all, powwow flies in artists from all over the country. They do have some local artists, but they generally fly in artists. They pay their expenses to stay in a hotel, they come, they do it, and then they're out again. And what we're looking for is probably more of a regional artist. And then with regards to the life of a mural, the one that's there is allegedly 40 years old, and the life of an average mural should be expected to be about 5 to 10 years. And so what we talked about was, what's the cost benefit of either pointing that building for $45,000 or whatever it would cost to do that whole side thoroughly, versus getting it to a point where you could get a mural up that might not last 40 years. And so what they've landed on is they're going to do the necessary pointing, but not maybe to the extent that they were initially proposing. And then that will allow us to put a mural up that will last 5 to 10 years. And then in the meantime, we are signing up for the Beyond Walls program that did the Lynn murals. And we're looking at other ways to then bring in murals again. And the McCarthys know the expectation would be to somehow try to get another mural up in 5 to 10 years.
You should do a virtual one.
There,
A bunch of other
so
ones.
there
Put a
there
white
are.
background and just have it one eye.
So what you
every
could
night.
do, if I may through you, Chair,
Voltron.
if I may through you, Chair, he's
Yeah.
not far off in this idea. If you could, you whitewash the wall again after you're done with that mural's life. And then you could do what now some people are doing, project images. So they're just temporary images. But I think that building will be beautified by the whitewash. So they're going to whitewash the building, put up a mural, and then they could whitewash it again in 5 to 10 years and maybe not do anything.
Councilor Marquette.
I'll let
Oh, go ahead, Councilor Steves.
I was going to follow up on, so if we're looking at doing this for this wall, I can think of several other walls around town that would be great candidates for future murals, whether they be 5, 10, 35, 40 years or whatever. I mean, it would be nice to see a lot more of our downtown muralized. Can we do that with this Beyond Walls program? What's the qualification?
If I may through you, Chair, I don't know the exact details. You're welcome to look online at the Beyond Walls submission for future rounds, but I think it is just along those lines where, you are looking at what potential highly visible locations you could do, who would be in cooperation, whether it's the town or a private owner, et cetera. And then they come in and it gets the town out of it, which would be nice. If it's not a town
Sorry about that.
We'll have it.
if it's not a town building, yeah.
See you.
I was gonna say something about the walls. Oh, so the choice of Central Street parking lot with this grant, the reason it worked, the reason they were willing to fund it is because of all of the investment we've made adjacent to it, right? So because of the block grant, the $1.2 million block grant funding that it went into the Central Street parking lot to create this community space, of the pedestrian plaza, that abuts the pedestrian plaza. You can see how that would dovetail with the state's agendas, right? But in terms of other walls, I'm not sure. We've approached Mr. Patel about the 67 Central, which is at the other end of the parking lot, about whether he was open to a mural. He seemed initially open, but then wasn't sure. And so that would be a great potential future location for another mural. Yes, I agree with you.
And if this public funds is being used to put this mural on 111 Central Street, does that mean, obviously, Gabe owns the building? Will we effectively own the mural?
No.
because it's public funding.
So we're coming up with an agreement, a soft agreement with the McCarthys that says that, you know, that's it. We're just here to put up this mural. From there on out, it's their responsibility. That our expectation is that it stays up there for at least 5 years.
This is at 111?
Yeah,
Fidel's.
yeah,
Oh, Fidel's.
It's a 111 Central? Oh.
yeah.
You good, Councilor C? Councilor Morgan?
I just wanted to say, I know that the mural isn't that old, 40 years, but it is a beautiful mural.
Because Yosemite.
It is a beautiful
It
mural.
is a
I
beautiful
won't be, it is. I agree with you. It is.
It's a snapshot in time, though.
It's kind of a shame, It couldn't just be
Some of the people,
brightened up,
Yeah.
to someone to turn off.
No, they're doing
Well,
it.
of course, it's his building, so I guess.
It's a digital print, though. They're gonna print that out, right, Ms. Dean? They're gonna print that out and put it into the new restaurant?
So they haven't had as much luck with the digital
With the restaurant?
print that they were hoping to have. They do have something that they will use to be able to preserve it at One Central, to put in, I had suggested either as a, an offset inside the mural when they could put it up, or inside the entrance of the building is what they had suggested. It sounds like that's the route they're gonna go. And I appreciate the snapshot in time. I do think it is beautiful. It could be a postcard. How do we hold on to those moments that were meaningful to us throughout the town, right? You could do postcards. You could do digital images that you then post on websites. If anyone else has other suggestions, you could make T-shirts. What's a way to memorialize it otherwise, while still being able to bring new to your town, right?
I still like the mural,
I
but I
understand.
will agree that it's history, but not history, and it's not, I do enjoy it, but, whatever. All right.
Have you seen some of those powwow murals in Worcester?
Mhm.
I don't think you'd want one of those in Southbridge. They're pretty weird.
They're very-
more than not.
All right,
So-
anything else? You're all set, Councilor Arquette. Anything else?
Yes.
Ms. Dean?
If nothing else, if you bring controversy to a wall, is it better to be talking about a mural at the dinner table than it is about politics?
Well,
It all depends on what
I'll
family.
disagree with
It
that.
depends on what family you live
I
in.
disagree with that.
I'll be good for family.
Maybe we're not allowed to,
Everything political.
I'm sure.
Everything's
Yeah.
political.
All right, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Can I ask a question before you?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Not about this. I just wanted to ask Peg how we're doing with the, and I don't, excuse me for not remembering the name of the grant, but the grant for the cost analysis for trash, for an enterprise fund for trash.
That's not on the agenda for tonight.
That's why I asked him if I could ask that question.
If you ask the question after
I
the
mean-
ends.
Not reasonably anticipated question.
Just a question, I'm not voting on anything.
Yeah,
We could chit chat after.
All right, that's
yeah, that's why we do that, yeah. All right, we already took a vote. Motion to adjourn.
So,
Second.
Okay.
taking us back down.
All those in favor?
I'll wait till the camera's off, they realize it was